Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Oh my God, I got the whole thing messed up. Sorry, I thought I meant to bring you on right away, Katherine. All right, Ron is here tonight. I'm joined by Katherine Spallino, the Bad Cadet. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Let me show everyone what we're talking about here. This is your book, The Bad Cadet, and your YouTube channel, Katherine Spallino, but the handle is at The Bad Cadet. Most of my viewers by this point know what the cadet org is, but I always like to assume that people watching this video have literally never seen anything we've ever done before. So
yeah, that's awesome.
For those who might be freshly tuning in, a cadet or the cadet organization is it was a place where children of Scientology's Sea Organization members, the people who signed the billion-year contract, they wouldn't really be raised with their parents. They'd be shoved over into this organization composed of children and called cadets and raised in that organization. Your book is awesome. It's one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight is how have things been? How, I'll pull up your chat. Specifically, did you specifically say how things have been since the book, or did you want to talk a bit about the process as well?
I could do both. I think it was so when I went on your channel 6 months ago, which is wild. I was literally, my stomach was in knots. It was just it was so strange for me to be talking to, like, to be interviewed and to be in that type of world. And that journey of me now, this is probably, I've now done like 20 interviews. I think I've gotten more comfortable. Hopefully I feel more comfortable at least. And then also the reception I received. I just appreciate everybody. I wanted to talk about what that was like, the emotional journey roller coaster of putting out a book and hoping everybody doesn't crap on it and tell you it's horrible.
It was 6 months ago we did our chat?
Yeah, April.
Oh my God, I can't even believe it.
Yeah, it's like time flies.
Wow. The other thing that's come up recently is with Mike Brown's mom, Rosemary Chickwak.
Yes.
Her story coming out on how she was helped to escape from the house where she was basically being held. Scientology was just counting the days, hoping that she was going to die.
Yeah.
Rosemary released the names of all the other elderly or sick Sea Org members who are being held in these houses as well. And your parents' names were on that list.
Yeah. And I know now that must have been who told you, because you were nice enough to give me that information way before it even went live and public, right? You reached out and let me know. And I was able to get a phone number and call. And I talked about that, I think, with you. Yes, I did on the live. And I haven't been able to reach my parents again since the phone number was disconnected. But seeing it out again when on the video with Claire and Mike and Mike. So oh my gosh, it just really, it's hard to know that my parents might not be okay. They tell me they're okay. They told me that 6 months ago. How do I know this is true? Right? Because they're going to do good roads, good weather if they consider me a suppressive person and not tell me the full truth. I have to hope in all my heart that my sister, who is still in the Sea Org, is looking out for them. Like, I'm so grateful that I wish my sister would leave the Sea Org, but at the same time, I'm glad she's there because she would advocate for them. I don't think she would let them like not be going to their doctor's appointments. I know she's going to be busy, but I'm an eternal optimist, and maybe it's like I just hold on to that. But I still want to get my parents out. I just don't know how to, because I don't have a way of reaching them.
So your sister is Daisy?
Yeah.
And I knew Daisy. She was in the Sea Org in LA when I was there.
Yeah.
What other efforts have there been made to contact your folks?
So I will say that sorry, my son just came in, but what do you need? You don't want to be on camera, buddy. Okay. Go talk to daddy, actually. Just go talk to daddy. Okay. Sorry. 5 o'clock on, Thursday. So not like I've emailed, I've called my sister and left a couple messages recently, but no response. I just really don't know what to do. And I'm like grasping at straws. I've talked to Claire about this, Claire Heatley, just to be like, what should I do? I have some plans, but I don't want to say them online. Do you know what I mean? Because like then it could be foiled by the Scientology church. Like I'm not trying to give them ammunition to keep my parents away from me.
Right. Have you
Yeah.
been officially declared?
Yes. So here's the story. I told you I would tell you this story about my brother who didn't know if he wanted it to be talked about because he went to see my parents. He stayed with Laura Anderson, and she lives a block away, from the Edgemont house. Or I won't say where she lives, but anyway, sorry. And hopefully most people don't know where that is anyway.
It's okay. It's a big
Yeah.
city. There's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
a big
houses in
city.
the area.
Exactly. So he never saw them. He was hoping to just kind of run into them, which makes me worried that they're not taking walks and so on. And Laura said she hasn't seen them take any walks. So then he went, and I told him this was a bad idea. He literally went to security at Pac Base and called Odo, came out, and security guard, and who we grew up with at the ranch, was a cadet, and basically told Jason, and Jason was like flabbergasted. He just said straight up, like, no, you can't see your parents. And Jason's like, why not? He's like, aren't your sister? Don't you know about you're connected to your sister? And Jason's like, oh, I don't hang out with her. He's just saying that, which we don't really hang out that much. He has nothing to do with what I'm doing, right? He should still be able to see his family. As we all know, none of this makes sense. I'm just trying to rationalize what Odo's saying, but it doesn't make sense. And then he's like, so my brother's like, I don't hang out with her. And he's like, yeah, because she's declared a suppressive, right? And when Jason told me that, I got like a little zing. I was like, oh, it's official. But they don't give us the goldenrods anymore. So yes, I am officially declared. I already knew that was going to happen. I mean, the most insane part about all this is that they already pretty much considered me declared just because I was friends with Mary and Francis, and I was friends at the time with Sina. So it's like they are now, like they probably had already declared me. Like, don't use this book as an excuse, And the book isn't even an attack on Scientology. It just tells my life growing up. But it's just, Scientology is not going to look good because it is the way it is. Like the neglect and everything that we experienced and working at a young age and underpaid and so much stuff like that. So the next thing my brother says to Odo is like, and Odo says, okay, if you're not connected, you still need to do your conditions because you left the Sea Org. And Jason's like, I did my conditions years ago. I never heard back. And then Odo's like, I think didn't really know what to say. And then so Jason's like, so could I see them? He's like, no. Like, what place and what world is it normal that somebody thinks they could tell someone they can't see their parents and to make up excuses? And even though Jason had responses to these excuses, he still refused to allow my brother to see our parents. And we live in Minnesota. He lives here too. So he was flying out the next day. So he just had to leave. And I think that's really what has woken up my brother a lot, I think. Like now he's like, whoa. And he's like starting to, I think a little, because he kind of didn't really, I don't know, believe what was happening in a way, because I talked to my parents all the time before they disconnected. And my brother was just kind of living his life, you know how that is sometimes with siblings, one is more in contact. So for it to be like blatant in his face, you cannot see your parents, I think was really hard. And that's, of course, like I kind of knew it wasn't going to happen, that he wasn't going to see them, but it's still sad. I'm like, it's messed up.
So he's not declared. I mean, stories like this. I mean, the fact that Scientology will come out and say there's no such thing as enforced disconnection as you're characterizing it. And it's like, well, how would you characterize it? Your brother is not a declared suppressive person. He's not in bad standing officially with the Church of Scientology.
He's never talked out on Scientology. I had never done it, and they'd already disconnected me. And then because my best friend was on a show, whatever, because I knew about it and I didn't tell them. I didn't report her. Why would I ever report her? But then they also equated it with Jason. That's not his best. It all doesn't make sense, right? It's like, but that's how they work. That's how they operate. And it's not okay, obviously.
Let me ask you this. If they're saying they're okay, what's the reason they're saying they're at this house?
I mean, I think that they're saying, I think they basically said they were like kind of working, but not really. Like they're on medical schedule. So they were saying like with my dad's diabetes, he's always had diabetes. I think it's like escalated. He's in his 70s. Of course, like that's when it's going to be really hard. And it's with their that work schedule and he can't be on his feet all day. And then my mom, I also think she has really bad eyesight, like severely bad. I wonder if she can't even write letters now. That was her job, letter registrar. So
Yeah.
I think that if they can't do anything, what they put them there to. I don't know, like she's listed as having dementia. I talked to her. She remembered me and my kids, but there's different levels of dementia. So I don't know what that means. She's always been forgetful. So I don't know if that's what's been equated with it. Like she can be that, like that's just who she is. So, but I'm like, maybe it's escalated. I don't know. Like, I don't know what their fine means. They
Yeah.
seemed happy. They went for a walk, which is reassuring. They're not bedridden. So
Who knows they went for
those
a
are all
walk?
good things. So I called the first time and the woman there was like, hello. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to reach my parents. I didn't say my parents. I pretended like I was my aunt just to see if I could reach them. She said, oh, they went for a walk. I'll see when they get back. And then when I called again, she answered again and she said, oh, I think they just got back. And then my dad got on and then he's like, oh, Ruth. He thought it was my Aunt Ruthie. We had a conversation and then I was like, is mom there? He's like, oh, she went in the shower from after our walk, but I'll go get her. It just seemed like they all knew that they had come for a walk. It seemed to line up. So I think they had, and also Laura said she's seen them take walks. So I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
I'm like, oh, they were doing that. So that's, I feel like a good sign. But now they're not doing walks. So I'm like, oh no, because obviously you need to keep your body moving to stay healthy. Even if it's just a walk a day, get outside.
A funny question just occurred to me. It feels, I'm just going to say it. If
Mm-hmm.
someone had dementia, would they ever be aware of the fact that they had it?
That's the thing. I don't know. And I'm like, also, then this is the part to play where I tweeted, like, I want to file elderly abuse. I haven't gone through with it yet because I want to see if we can get our eyes on them. If they will not, I have, like I said, I'm seeing what can be done. I have plans. If it does not follow through, I will file elderly abuse because if my mother has dementia, there's no way she can be making, I mean, she's with her husband. So I don't know if that trumps all, but still, at least if I can get eyes on them, just to know what's happening.
Well, and
Like,
also, can you remind me, is there any reason to believe that they both have dementia or is that just your
it's
mom?
just my mom. On the list that came out, it says my dad diabetes, which he's always had. I imagine it's worse because he's overweight, or he was when I was young, and now old in his 70s, and he always had a sore on his leg. Like that is not new. It could have grown. I could see that happening.
Right. Well, and
Which is
also
not
his
good.
condition would probably make him not really able to care for her. Like the fact that they're there
Mhm.
together doesn't necessarily matter if they are both suffering from severe medical conditions.
Yeah. So I would like to know, and that's been my there's stuff in the works. Again, I don't want to say what, but I'm hoping that at least if we can, and if the church is listening to this, like whoever goes to see them, you better let them see them and prove us that they're okay, because that's what we need right now.
This is what's crazy. It's like, even from the Sea Org perspective, it would be in their
Mhm.
best interests
To
to
just let her
not only
go.
allow them
Yeah.
to go, but to have them go. Like
Yeah.
knowing that they have family outside of the Sea Org who would want to spend the time with them, want to take care of them. Why would the Sea Org want to hold on to them? It's you and I both know from a Sea Org perspective, that's eating up a
Mhm.
lot of time and resources they'd rather not spend.
Yeah.
But they do it
Well,
anyway
okay.
just to keep them away from their family members.
When I listened to that interview with it's Mike, right? Rosemary's son, is that
Mike
right?
Brown, yeah.
Mike Brown. He said that they're getting social security checks. I know my parents get social security checks. Is that money worth it? Obviously, I don't know if that would equalize how much I mean, they're also all crammed in an apartment building that's not meant for how many people are there. I don't know if that's what it is or if they're racking up credit card debt in their name. that's possible. I know my mom would be buying the basics when they came out and buying stuff on credit, or because I know she didn't have a lot of money. So
Right.
that's my other wonder is like, are they just using them to get money out of them while they're alive? Which is
That's a
really, really dark.
great point. That's a great point. If they're like, if we let them leave, they're going to bring with them all the evidence of all the credit card debt we've racked up in their names. Better to hold on to them.
Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, it, because why else would they keep them? There's no reason to. And like, I can be okay, like, mom, dad, if you watch this, I'm okay with you coming out and we don't have to talk about Scientology. You can just be near me and see your grandkids. Like, it doesn't have to be, they could believe whatever they want till the day they die. But I would also like them to just live happily, be able to take walks, have good health care. If like, that's all I want. It's not too much to ask.
Wow. I remember your mom. I think she was at Asho, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Asha Day.
That's
Yeah,
right.
with
She was a
big
letter reg.
curly hair, glasses, huge
Yeah.
glasses.
No one could forget your mom. She's one of the most naturally happy and chipper and smiley people I
Mhm.
ever encountered in the Sea Org.
Yeah, she is so sweet. And if you read my book, people who've read my book, it comes through. My mom is somebody, even though I didn't see her a lot, I have so much love for her. Like, she's just such a sweet soul. I always felt that. So to have that growing up, even though I didn't see her a lot, it was comforting to know there's somebody who loves me.
Yeah. Your dad, Mike, was he the OT3
Mhm.
supervisor?
Yeah, and public who know him say he's like a great supervisor, super funny, really like charming. I'm like, huh, I want to know that guy. Like, I didn't really know him growing up. He was just like a guy who was my dad who would ask for money. I would ask him for money whenever I saw him because I had no money. I'd be like, have $1 when I was be like a cadet at PAC doing filing. I would just go to the OT area and ask him for $1 and leave. Like, I was like 11 to 13 years old. But like, cause I didn't really, and I knew he had to go back on post. I had only 15 minutes, to go to the canteen and buy a Tiger Milk bar. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Those have a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of sugar in it.
Yeah.
You read the ingredients. They're not, I thought they were a protein bar. And then I recently, when I was writing my book, I looked up the ingredients. I'm like, these are very unhealthy. It's like a candy bar.
I thought they were
But
protein bars as well.
I thought they were healthy, but they tasted really good.
I think it's incredible that you have such a desire to help your parents and take care of them, even though you didn't have much of a relationship with them. I mean, I think that's really powerful, really.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I know it would be hard and financially could be hard. Emotionally could be hard to watch them decline and, pass eventually just because they're older. But I'm like, I just really want them out. I don't want them to just die there. I don't want to just get a phone call, one of them's dead. Like, that's just, it's really, oh my gosh, that would just hurt so much. And like you said, like, my mom is so, so sweet. My dad, people love him too. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, nobody deserves to just lay in a room all day and like take vitamins. They talked about white gloving the apartment. That's like their chore. Like, that's like fine. It's good to clean stuff, but like, it's not something to look forward to.
Well, I got a question for you.
Mhm.
I mean, you know me, my mind is always, trying to be a little bit of a troublemaker. So I always
Mhm.
feel like the best way to get someone out of the base is to make it so much of a so much of a problem for Scientology that they're still there, that Scientology wants to get them off the base. I mean, technically they're off the base in one of those houses, but you know what I mean, like off
Mhm.
of the base. So
Yeah.
recently, Kendrew Kirkconnell is a Sea Org member who was posted in, was it Columbus? And his family was trying to get him out. And Kendrew was wanting to get out, and plans in
Yeah.
place were to help Kendrew get out. And Scientology shipped him back to LA to keep him away from his family. And my audience called
Oh,
the
wow.
LA org thousands of times over a few weeks
Oh,
and
wow.
made it such a distraction for Kendrew that his family hasn't gotten him back yet. But let's just say we were hearing what a nightmare it was at the
Yeah.
base, that they're being inundated by thousands of phone calls wanting to know why they were keeping Kendrew from his family.
Yeah.
Would you like
Wow.
people to make calls about your parents?
I'm like, it's not a bad idea. Can I sit on it and think on it?
Yes, you can.
Like, I do think, I honestly, like, I have a plan in mind right now. I promise. It's supposed to go in motion in the next couple of weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. If that doesn't work, then I'm like, I think I will go crazy and like, or like, sick the people on them because, oh, it's a weird thing. Like, what, they should just let him go. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So everybody hold the phone. Let me figure this out and I'll let
All
you
right.
know.
Once you say the word, I'll do a whole series of videos giving the phone number to call, suggested things that they can say or ask.
Or if they're in LA, showing up at the house and asking to see my parents. Oh my gosh.
We'll figure it out. But,
Yeah.
honestly, I want Scientology to get to a point where they're like, for the same reason they canceled the RPF. The RPF is just too much of a
It's
freaking
gone?
headache.
I
Well,
didn't even know that.
it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
They reprieved everybody. They graduated everybody. They removed all the RPF ICs. There's no RPF assignments. They either try to handle you more or they just route you out and beat you, but there's no handling.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's a
no
good
RPF.
thing. I mean, that's change.
Yeah.
I mean, they have so much more to do, but like, even listening to Claire's interview where she said for their lawsuit where they were saying they weren't paying SEER, you know how SEER members would get the pay, no pay. Now they have to get paid no matter what, and it's automatically deposited.
That's
Like,
right.
at least there's things that are happening that are bettering it for SEER members. Still not enough, but it's cool that at least there's, like, she made a change and you made a change and everybody's speaking out.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in the chat very surprised they hadn't heard that the RPF was gone. The RPF's actually been gone for some years now.
Wow.
And it's not an official, meaning that nobody put out an issue. The problem with canceling the RPF is that LRH created the RPF.
Yeah.
So how do you and there's a ton of L. Ron Hubbard issues about the RPF. How do you cancel it without being like L. Ron Hubbard screwed up?
Yeah, of course.
So they did not put out an issue officially. There was nothing distributed. It was more like it was just canceled through orders. Like there, enough people who've left this York recently have verified in all the various continents that there simply isn't an RPF anymore. So there we go. Got another little visitor.
Yeah. You want to go find Daddy? It's like, it's because they know I'm not available. So then it's like, I'm like glue. They're coming, grabbing them.
By the way, anyone just new to the stream, you can find Katherine Spallino's channel by searching.
I got some new subscribers. There was only like 75. Thanks, whoever subscribed.
There you go. And her book is The Bad Cadet, which you can find on Amazon. Okay, so let's see. Uh-oh, I'm clicking the wrong buttons over here. Let me pull up your text. Okay, so you said perhaps we can chat about your experience on the lead up to your book and how it's been since you've been public.
Yeah. So I had told people that I didn't want to put my name on there because I was just too scared, basically, on my book, and I was going to be anonymous. And then I got some good advice from a friend, and then, I was like, you know what? I just got to rip the Band-Aid off and do it. So I was a mess, but in a good way, like nervous about it. But the cool part was I had my cadet friends who weren't ready to read the manuscript. I had some cadet friends read the manuscript before I released it, to get that validation that what I had said was true. The timeline was correct. I was texting the whole time I was writing the book with other cadets, and they would I'll be like, hey, was this when this happened? Or how did this happen? Or this is how I remember it. And so, sorry. Okay. It's okay. Okay. You just unplugged the computer, but it's fine. But you got to go to Daddy. Okay, Daddy will do it. Go to Daddy, please. He's downstairs. He does. He knows my password. We know each other's passwords. You got it with kids. Okay. Sorry again, everybody. So long story short, when my friends they didn't want to read my manuscript, they had started it, but it was emotionally bringing them back there. And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready to go back there right now. Back to the Kid org, back to the Sea org. So they weren't quite there. And it's also different when you're emailing, reading it on a computer. It's just not as like good. I don't know. I think that was part of it too. But when they got my book in their hand, these are cadets, and they read it, like their response to me is like was so amazing. They loved it so much and gave me so much validation. And that was great. And then to get it from people I don't even know, people who are reading it, who are just interested about Scientology, who have been like, this really shows what it's like as a child growing up in Scientology, because I included all the hormones, the boys, like it's all out there. It's not just about Scientology and me growing. It's like me growing up in Scientology. What is that like? And what is it like for a girl to maintain her sense of self? And how did I do it? And I did it by like being a bad cadet, basically, and just never following the rules and always talking back. And it's like this repetitive cycle. And I look back now and I'm like, oh gosh, it's so awesome. I was like that. And that's another part too, is I go on all these podcasts and I learn more about what a cult is. I was on Dr. Steve. His last name is Hassan, I think.
Steve Hassan. Oh, you went on with him.
Yes. And I read his book too. One of his book, Freedom of Mind. And I learned so much about the bite model and so on. And we had a great conversation. And it's just like, I've learned a lot from putting out my book. So I didn't expect all that. So that's been really cool.
I'm totally going blank on the one story that I tell.
Yeah.
Is about one of Steve's books. Oh, Combating Cult Mind Control.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one I think I read. Yeah. And then I need to read Freedom of Mind next. I highly recommend.
Let me know if you had the same experience.
Yeah.
I had already gotten to a place where I didn't believe in Scientology. I thought, I'd already come to terms with the fact that the OT levels are, the upper OT levels are, they don't exist. L. Ron Hubbard lied about all that shit. Miscavige has been lying about all that shit. I didn't believe in OT. I no longer believed in Scientology. But I did not realize how much I was holding on to this belief that at least Scientology was something really, really unique. Like, even if it was a cult, boy, is it a unique cult. Even if it's a scam and a con, oh boy, it is a uniquely, either a real unique scam or a con. And I didn't know how hard I was holding on to that idea, or even that idea was something important to me.
Yeah.
And then I read his book about being recruited into the Moonies. I was devastated. I was sobbing listening to this thing, just realizing that Scientology is garden variety bullshit. And that the manipulation techniques is not special. There's some unique ways they do it. But when I heard how the Moonies, how they recruited people, how they kept people from looking at information critical to them, how they kept people believing despite all evidence in front of their faces.
How they overworked them, so then they were so tired they couldn't process. Like, so many similarities. I was just like, it's the same but different.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really is. There's only two books there's a ton of books to read, but there's only two that I always tell people to read on their way out. And that's Combating Cult Mind Control and Barefaced Messiah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
How did your chat with Steve go?
It was really great. And I asked him, I said, what do you think it is? I was like, why do you think it is that I just didn't, I didn't stay? Like, I left the Sea Org at 16 years old. That's really young. And then to have nowhere to go, to think the world outside is horrible, that I could become a prostitute or like go on drugs. Like, those are the things that I was told. And yet I never bought it. And I knew it would be better outside. I was like, what is the qualities? He's like, honestly, it's probably innate, but also I was journaling and writing in my diary. And he's like, you kept a sense of your authentic self your whole time growing up. And that was a really cool way to put it. Cause I'm like, I put my emotions down of what I was feeling in that emotion in that moment. And I didn't let somebody else tell me later, no, this is how you should feel about it. Or they would, if they could try to change it. And I would read the diaries, and in my early 20s, I was putting them all down on a computer. So that's when I was coming out of Scientology too. I think it helped to see like all these moments of unhappiness in my childhood, and like knowing, oh, that wasn't normal to have all this how I was raised. You know, I was aware it wasn't normal my whole time growing up, honestly. So I think that was a really cool part of our conversation. And then another part was he was inspiration again regarding my parents. He's like, you don't have to give up. Like, if you give up, it makes it okay for them. You know what I mean? Because I did try to reach out at the beginning 6 years ago when they stopped talking to me. And I was like, you know what? And I have an email that I read recently. So me and my friends, Amy, Clarissa, and Felicia, they won't mind if I say their names because they're on my Bad Cadet Instagram page. But we had like a little moment where we read our last emails from our parents where they disconnected from us. Yes. Oh my gosh. And we were just like crying, but it was like a helpful cry, if that makes sense. It's like a support group. But I read my last email that I wrote to my sister, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I tried to see you. I was in Palm Springs. You didn't respond. Trying to come and see you for Christmas with my kids, and you didn't respond. I'm like, I'm so sorry that I didn't realize when you said you needed a break that you literally were going to be disconnecting again, because they had done this to me in the past in my early 20s. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'll just let it go. And I'm here whenever you are ready to see me again. But it's so like sad that I'm just like, I'm still so okay, not okay, but like accepting of them disconnecting. And then I did try to like send flowers to my mother for her birthday that January after Christmas, no response. I sent photos, no response of the kids growing up. So then eventually I myself needed to focus on myself. I was raising baby twins and a 3-year-old. And I was like, I can't put my energy there. I'm just going to focus on my life. And I kind of just let it go, you know? So then when Steve was like, you know, you could like, if you reach out and you're bothering them, calling the org, there's that part of them that they know me. My mom loves me. How does she keep shutting that off? I mean, hopefully, I mean, she remembered me on the phone at least. Like like that's hard to do. So if anybody here has like a Sea Org person that they've given up or a friend, like just reach out and say, I'm here. I love you. And I was like, oh, that is such good advice. And that's like reinvigorated me in a way to be like, I don't have to accept this. Like I could keep challenging their brains to really understand, how is this okay to you? How are you letting us all go? They love my kids. They held my baby twins. Now my babies are 7 years old. They lost 6 years of their life, you know, but they could still catch, you know, that there's still a lot of good stuff happening. Obviously,
Wow.
they're still growing.
You know, I mention as often as I can that there's hardly a Scientology family that has not been destroyed by Scientology. And what's crazy about Odo Huber, who honestly, I mean, I don't know what I want to say there, but what's crazy about Odo Huber being the one to tell someone they can't see their parents is that Odo's own family's been destroyed by Scientology and disconnection.
So Clarissa is his sister. That's who I was at in Felicia. We were at the cabin together. Yeah. So it's just like, that's the guy who also is disconnected from them. So to him, it is normal to say to Jason, no, you can't see your parents. Like they're doing what I'm doing. We're saving the world. We're like, that's what they tell themselves. And it's just the saddest thing, because he had genuine love for his sisters. Like me and Felicia grew up together. She's like in my book and everything. I won't say which name, but like she is somebody he loved and looked out for. And for him to just be like, zip, you know, and same with Clarissa, they were close in age. They were really close. And they have to somehow wrap their brain around that it's okay to just cut people out. And
I was in the Sea Org with all three of them. I mean, I remember them all very well. And do you happen to know, did Odo like specifically send disconnection letters to them, or was it just one of those ghosting situations?
It was more a ghosting. Like he had conversations with Clarissa where he was mad at her for because she had conversations with her mom. And this is all an interview with Tony Ortega. If anyone's interested, it's a podcast that he did with her. But about what she didn't like about Scientology. And she was really upset about that, his mom. So then he got pissed at her too. And then they tried to calm Clarissa for having thoughts and opinions, literally. And Clarissa didn't even want to go into the org. And she went, and they like it's all about how bad she is and she shouldn't be spreading in theta. And Clarissa's just like, screw this. Like, or did she go? I think she didn't want to go, and her husband went for her just to see what they're gonna say. I'll have to relook, but regardless, I don't think she got anything specifically from Odo. I think it just was like done because his mom had also done it, and then I feel like same with their dad. Like there was some emails, and then it was done. Or
Who's
I
their-
think yeah.
Who's their dad?
I don't know his first name. I'm spacing it. I would know it if somebody said it. But he was a nice guy. He was more involved in their like there were cadet parents who'd be more involved and cadet parents like mine who didn't have a car and had no way of getting to the ranch. He had a car or somebody did. They borrowed a car and they would come and see them at the ranch.
Oh, was he from Int?
No, he was at Pack.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the Pack Ranch, and then the Int Ranch is a whole another thing. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned earlier that you tried to call your sister. How did that go?
I just
Did you
left
actually-
a message.
How'd you even get a number for her or whatever?
Oh, I just called Bridge and I left a message and I
Oh.
knew I wouldn't get a call back. I just did it yesterday on a whim. I was like, me and Jason was texting me. He was like watching all the podcasts I'd been on because he was kind of not really, he didn't really want to know about, I don't know, whatever. It was what he was in the mood. And then I was like, we were just talking about everything that happened again. And I'm like, I'm going to try to call my sister. I didn't even tell him that. I just did it. And then I didn't get a response, but I don't know, just gave it a shot in the dark. Like,
Very
what if they
brave.
just put me through? What if it was a new SIERG member who didn't know about the list? They must have a search Excel sheet and they put in names and they go, here's a list of people who you can't talk to. You know what I also think is funny, and have you talked about this, is like an SP is only supposed to be 2% of the world, right?
So I think, 2.5%
evil.
are supposed to be the truly dangerous SPs. And I believe it's another 17.5% that are just supposed to be under our control.
Yeah. So then how is like 50% of the people they know all SPs? It
know.
doesn't like the math ain't mathing, right?
I know. It's crazy.
I don't know how like you could have the cognitive dissonance, like all of those SIEG members, even my best friend who turned on me and wrote a report on me and got me basically declared. Like how did she do that? Like I was her best friend. I almost wanted to sing that song. You're my best friend. No, apparently not. Like it's so sad.
Who is that? Or do you not want to say?
I don't want to say her name, even though I should, but I won't. People know who she was. She was in LA with me all the time. We hung out all the time. And I'll say she's blonde. And that's it'll come out in my second book, everyone. She's in my first book. Her name's Hallie in my first book. So then she'd be in my second book.
People are gonna connect all the dots.
Yeah. And that's okay. At least she still is like semi-private. It's kind of fun though, right? When you like anyway, any ranchers who reach out in cadets, I tell them who the pseudonyms are and stuff. It's more just like to not have it public, you know what I mean? Like forever.
Sure.
Out in the world. Yeah.
For anyone newly joining the stream, here, let's refresh this and see how we're doing. 82. Boom.
Oh, look at that. Thanks, everyone. I'm gonna do like I still don't know what this channel will be. People were just like, you need to have a channel. I'm thinking maybe cadet conversations or something, but I know I'm talking to Mariam Francis next week and Christy Gordon. So
Cool.
I'll live stream that next week for anyone who's interested. We're talking about the cadet org and we'll have photos and stuff.
And guys, this is the first, this video that we're doing right now is also streaming on Katherine's channel. And it is the first video ever on your channel.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Mhm.
And the book that we've been talking about is The Bad Cadet, and you can get it on Amazon. And so how has the reception been to the book?
It's been good. I mean, 5 stars. You saw it first. It's right there on Amazon. 72 reviews. So, and like a lot of people, like for how many sales there are, I'll just say that's way less than the sales. So I appreciate everybody who's reviewed. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And then I read the reviews, the ones that are actual comments, because you can either leave the stars or you can leave a written comment. And especially the ones, I love all of them, but the ones who are like, I love how feisty you are. Like, oh, your spirit is so awesome. A lot of them say they like how funny it is. So people wouldn't expect that in a Scientology memoir, but I'm a teenager, shit's going to happen. There's some swearing. I'll say, I would say it's not rated R though. It's PG-13. You know how the Sea Org is. You swear so much.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, I can't not have a few F words in there. Like,
Yeah.
it's just how it is.
If anyone thinks I already swear too much on this channel, you should have seen it in the first few years. Like, I very specifically have toned it down just for the purpose of being able to reach a wider audience and not offending such a large number of people. Like, people don't understand why former Scientologists swear so much, and it's because Scientologists swear so much.
They do. And they smoke a lot too, which is a very unhealthy habit too. These two things when you're very young. Imagine a 13-year-old swearing like a sailor and smoking like this. That's what you'd find in the Sea Org. Horrible.
The only one I managed to avoid was the smoking. I never smoked a cigarette. I've still never
Oh,
smoked a cigarette, actually. But
that's good for you. I have a Sea Org story. It's not in the book. I had to cut some of the good stuff because it was just teenage stuff. But one time, me and Miriam were at lunch, and she was like, "Let's go up to our dorm, and I'm gonna have a cigarette." I was like, "Hey, sure." So we're like, go up to the dorm, and she's like smoking. She's like, "You want one?" This is not even my first time trying. It's like I'm 14 years old, maybe 15. And I'm like, sure. And I like took a drag and I like went to sit down and like missed the chair and fell. And she's just like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I've never smoked before." I didn't like it, so I didn't smoke in the Sea Org either.
oh, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I did smoke after the Sea Org for like
Do
2
you,
years.
oh, just 2 years? Was it hard to
Yeah.
quit?
No, because it was like social smoking, just like when
Ah,
everybody is out. Yeah, especially when we were like underage and you couldn't get into anywhere that was drinking. This is all again will be in my second book, like how Scientologists party in LA and still call themselves Scientologists. It's just a little glimpse of that life of me entering the world. Um, uh, it's funny.
so you're already working on it?
I am working on it, but I'm mainly trying to get this Audible out, which should take so much time. So I'm on chapter 37 now out of 55, I think. So I'm
Wow.
almost there. Everybody who would rather get Audible, if you could follow me on Instagram, I will say when it's available. I'll definitely have it out before Christmas. And I'm doing it myself and I'm doing the best I can. Don't tease me.
Oh, I
I
can't
do have
wait
the
because
equipment, so it
I'm
should be quality.
exclusively audiobooks these days.
Okay, yeah, cool. I'll let you know for sure, and I'll come on your channel and we could do like a unveiling or something if
That'd
you're
be
up for it.
so much fun. That'd be so much
Yeah,
fun. As I get older, my attention span's getting less and less and less, and I cannot. I do audiobooks because I have to listen to the books while I'm doing other things. I cannot just sit down and read a book. It's almost a problem.
yeah. It's a lot of people like that, and it's I think we're all used to multitasking, like phone, this, that, this, and it's nice too. Like if you're driving, to have something to listen to too. Like it's a good thing to have.
Yeah. That's awesome. So already working on a second book. Dang, that's
Hmm.
great.
Yeah, I'm hoping 2024 for that, but we'll see. I'm only like not even a quarter of the way written first draft, but I feel like I now know how to write a book, so I feel like it'll be smoother. 2025 at the latest, I would say.
That's
It'll be
great.
called The Bad Scientologist. So kind of ties in.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to pick your brain a little bit as far as your plans for your channel. Um,
Hmm.
so let's say, because no matter what you have in your mind, that's going to be how it begins, right? But
Yeah.
like, well, what are your thoughts? You mentioned before conversations about cadets. Is that what you really want to focus on in the beginning?
I honestly don't think I'll be putting up a lot of content at first because I'm trying to get the Audible out, trying to write my book. But if I get a zing of inspiration, or maybe I'm on a girls' trip with my friends again, maybe we'll all hop on and just do a fun thing together. It's going to be there and you'll see a pop up every once in a while, but I don't think I'll have a lot of content at first. Maybe down the road, when the Bad Scientologist is out, I will have more, but I could be wrong. But I feel like it's more important to write my book and get the Audible out.
Can I share a
But
couple
anytime
thoughts
I
with you on the
stream,
subject?
yes, please.
So, I have heard other people when talking about books, particularly books in planning, they don't want to mention this or that because they're saving it for the book.
Hmm.
I'm gonna provide kind of a spectrum of thoughts here,
Yeah.
and I have a thought on that, which is there's no such thing as saving it for the book. Like
Yeah. I've
no
already
one,
said a lot from
Okay,
the
no
best
one knows what's
Scientologists.
in the book. No one knows what's not in the book. Saving it for the
Yeah.
book doesn't do anything. And in fact, telling stories just helps promote the book. So that's just something I wanted to just say.
Yeah.
But as far as the channel goes, when I first started my channel, I just had
Mhm.
everything. It felt like every video had to be like very important. Every
Mhm.
video, it was like a big deal. And it was almost
Mhm.
like once I did a video, I was like, oh, now the video's been done. Like I'll never have to speak about that again. And it's looking back on it, it's just a silly way of thinking because I mean, you could do a video today, a week from now, nobody remembers your damn video. And,
Yeah.
even if you have 100,000 subscribers, like 90% of your subscribers did not even see that video.
Yeah.
And so now the way I think of videos is that I think it's one of the reasons I do so many videos is because each individual video on its own is so unimportant. And it's actually very healthy to think about them that way, that it's just
Yeah.
not a big deal. 1,000 videos is going to be better than any 10 videos. Anyway,
Mhm.
where am I going with all this? Well, one other small tangent,
Okay.
kind of based on everything I just said. When recently, when people have been wanting to talk to me about maybe talking out for the first time,
Yeah.
I go, you might shy away from feeling like you need to sit down and like tell your whole story just because it's the first time that you're speaking out. Like, no one knows who you are. Why does someone want to sit down and listen to a 3-hour story? Like, that's true for anyone. No
Mhm.
one in the world, relatively speaking, no one in the world knows who we are. Why would anyone just right out of the gate want to sit down and listen to 3 hours of your story? Right.
Yeah.
And I said, instead of planning on, oh, I'm going to do one video, plan on doing 20. And instead of sitting down and going, I'm going to tell my story, I've been recommending to people, instead of sitting down and telling your story per se, talk about experiences or tell a story, not
Yeah.
necessarily your story. So, okay, this is a whole lot of verbal
I
diarrhea
love
because
that. No, I think that's a great point because people have short attention spans, and it's fun to be like, headline, that time I fell off the horse and almost died.
yes,
That actually happened
exactly.
to me.
That's a perfect example. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So, like, my recommendation would be like, if you just, let's say, because you watch a lot of videos, I'm betting. Let's say you watch a
Yeah.
video and you go, oh my God, that reminds me of a hilarious story. I would recommend flip your camera on and just go, I was just watching Laura's video about this and it reminded me of a crazy story, and tell a 10-minute story and just get used to talking about nothing particularly profound and insightful, except it's interesting to you. Maybe some people will find it funny and entertaining and they'll go, oh, I
Mhm.
love her personality. I love the way she talks. And so you're giving people a little bit here, a
I
little
like
bit here, a
that.
little
I
bit
like the
there.
10-minute thing. I could do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and then one of these days you'll sit down and you'll do a 2-hour conversation with someone and people will come and be like, because there's always people out there that want the 2 or 3 hour stuff,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but it's hard to confront that in the beginning and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I love this. This is great advice. You're gonna be my mentor. I'm
I'm
gonna
your
text you.
coach.
You're the pro. You're the one who's like opened the doors for everyone so many ways. You've learned it all.
And it really is one of the reasons why it's funny that I'm saying this, because these days I do like 90-minute and 2-hour live streams all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
but
you just like to talk though. So you're enjoying yourself.
that's
Right? So
right.
it's not forced. So it's like happening,
That's right. I've pretty much gotten to a point. I mean, I said this to you earlier. You're like, I said, we can pretty much talk for an hour about just about anything.
Yeah.
And we almost have.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, one last question that I can think of here. Was there anything about the whole book experience or any fallout, positive or negative fallout, that was just much different than you expected it would be?
Hmm. I guess, I mean, the main thing was I actually thought the people who are really mad at the Sea Org and like the Church of Scientology would not like my book because it's very light and it's from a point of view of somebody who loves Scientology. I think all of my videos being out, showing everybody I am not a Scientologist. I do not like Scientology. There's a last page in my book literally saying, follow me because I'm going to write about my journey as a Scientologist. The first book is about the Sea Org and it's not going to be clear. So it seems like it's like I'm going to leave and just not be a Scientologist. That's not how it works. All of us who are in the Sea Org know that. You have to do a whole nother mind game on yourself to get out of Scientology. So but actually the feedback has been great. So that has been really cool. Like, it seems like the community, the ex-Scientology community, has embraced my book. They understood where I was coming from, that I was just trying to write an actual coming of age memoir that's accessible to anybody. Anybody who knows nothing about Scientology can read this book, because it's very light, and it like talks about Scientology words, but I explain it as I'm telling the story, not like footnote, go to the glossary and read this definition here. So I think that's been very cool, because I now know, like, I can write my story however I want and stop beating yourself up if people aren't going to like it. Turns out people do like it, which is cool. I think for fallout, I think my only fallout is that sometimes I feel a bit guilty about feelings for my parents if they're like unhappy that their daughter wrote a book. But at the same time, my mom kind of knew this was coming. I told her when I was like 21 that I was writing, and she said, "You better not be writing a memoir." She literally said that. So she kind of knew. She knew, like, even then, even though I was still like, I was coming out of Scientology then, that like that how I grew up was not okay, like, it's like, and I asked her, "Why did you send me to the ranch?" And she thought it was like a safe place, a good place, and I'd be taken care of, but that wasn't the case. But she doesn't get, they didn't get a lot of feedback about how we're doing. I don't know.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a
It's
lose-lose
weird.
situation being a parent. I mean, it's one of
Yeah,
those things.
'cause
There's no way for that experience to ever have gone well.
Mhm.
Like, it's just not possible. Like, even if you had a parent who very much cared, it wouldn't have made the experience go well. So
Yeah.
because that was also not the path that I traveled. I was never in one of the cadet orgs. I was never at one of the ranches. I never myself tried to raise kids in the Sea Org. I'm not someone who has a lot of loaded personal feelings on the subject, but
Mhm.
I can sort of
I
see theoretically both arguments of the parents were horrible parents, but it also wouldn't have been possible to be anything but a horrible parent.
Yeah, because they're overworked, they don't have time. They're used to always asking for permission for everything. So even if they wanted to see their kids, they would have to ask for permission. That's ridiculous, but it's true. So I think that it played a huge part in me not getting to see my parents,
Yeah. And they
like,
had
a lot.
4 kids. Help me
Yeah,
understand that, because I forget. Like, did they have you all in the Sea Org?
they had no, I'm the Sea Org baby. Literally, my book starts with that. It's like
Okay.
a little front page, and it says, "I'm born in the Sea Org." I was born in the HI building, and like the Hollywood stars underneath. So yeah, they had me in the Sea Org. My brothers and my sister, I think they were on staff in New York, because there's no Sea Org in New York. And then they joined the Sea Org, is how it worked. Or my mom was a public, and my dad was on staff because he was a supervisor for sure. That's how he met my mom.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now there is a Sea Org. There's the CLO East US is in New York.
Oh yeah. So maybe they were in the Sea Org there. I'll have to ask. Well, I can't. I was gonna say I have to ask my parents.
One day.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
day soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, this has been a really fun chat.
Yeah, it has been. And I was just gonna say, like, Aaron, for you, you grew up a Scientologist, right? Like,
Yeah, I
in a
was 4.
Scientology family?
I was 4 years old when my mom got into Scientology, and some of my earliest memories are being in New York.
Yeah. And I feel I've been hearing, when I hear these stories, like Vanessa's story, Alicia's, um, like, there's a lot of neglect that happened there for Scientology parents, right? They would just bring their kids to the org, and they would just be running around. And I remember being in the Sea Org and seeing young kids unsupervised running around pack. Like, as parents now, right? We have our kids like in soccer, like we're doing things with them, or we're home with them hanging out. Like, it's not like we just like go drop them off somewhere for the evening. And normally a long day of school, kids are exhausted, especially elementary age. So it was interesting to hear these other stories of the Scientology kid growing up, and there was still neglect, and I was surprised. I don't
Oh
know why I
yeah.
was surprised. I
This
just
was
thought you
back
guys had a golden life.
this was back in the day when most orgs had some sort of a nursery and a nanny to watch all the kids of the staff members.
I didn't even
And
know that. Okay.
oh yeah, so in the Philly org, there was a nursery, which was basically just a room where you stuck the kids.
Yeah.
And it's not like the person who was in charge of us they was just whoever could be spared.
Yeah. And they're
In
not
fact,
even like certified for child care education or anything.
they don't even like kids necessarily.
Mhm.
And her
Oh
name was
gosh, that part's
Robin. Her
sad.
name was Robin. Wow, I forget her last name, but her daughter Stephanie. We're talking about like kindergarten aged kids. We would bust
Mhm.
out of there and we'd go
Oh my
wandering
gosh.
around downtown Philadelphia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Kindergartners downtown Phil, and that's not a safe area if I'm not mistaken, right?
it's
Philadelphia's
all.
kind of got a reputation. I mean,
Yeah,
if
no,
I'm not wrong.
Never been a good city. Um,
Wow.
I remember we came back to the org one time and the police had been called.
Oh wow. Because you guys were missing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And don't you think of that and you're like, somebody could have seriously been hurt or kidnapped. Little 5 and 6-year-olds running around. What an
Anything
adventure
could have
for you.
happened. I,
Yeah.
I remember at one time when the nanny wouldn't want to be in there, she would just lock us all in the room from the outside. And I think we were just looking for an excuse to make a really, really big deal out of this. And so we all pretended that we had to go to the bathroom. And of course, nobody was there to let us out. And we're like, okay, well, if we really legitimately have to go to the bathroom, we're pretty much justified in doing anything we need to do to get out of here.
Oh
So
gosh.
remember, we all found this broomstick and used it like a battering ram to bust a hole in the door so that we could reach through and unlock it.
That's really intelligent, actually.
A whole bunch of kids be like, heave ho.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. See, this is the stuff that happens with children. It's why I have my book the way it is. Like I have moments like this where I'm doing out ethics things and it's so funny and like someone could get severely hurt, but in the like you read it and it's funny, but you're also like, what? Oh my gosh. There was a part where I run away when I'm 12 years old from the ranch and I get picked up by a man. And he luckily drove me back to pack. And I was like, he doesn't look like Rapist. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on YouTube. So I got in the car and luckily he was a nice person and he literally brought me back. But when he goes, why I was running away because I was mad at my friends because they were teasing me about something. And he's like, where are you from? I was like, uh-oh. And I had to say the Candy Dogs Ranch. And then I was like, but it's really nice there. You know how you can't say anything bad. I'm like, I just wanted to see my parents. I miss them. He's like, maybe give them a call instead. Cause LA is like an hour drive without traffic. And I was going to try to walk there and I was going to try to hitchhike. And eventually, but he was not going to LA. He's like, I'll give you a ride back to your school. I'm just like, wow, that like looking back now, I'm like, oh, 12 years old, fully developed, definitely could have been taken advantage of in like the worst way. So funny,
Wow.
not so funny story, but it's a little, it's
Wow.
wild. Like the things you get up to when you're neglected.
So many of us have pointed out that it wasn't really until we had kids of our own that we
Yeah.
realized how fucked up the way we were treated, the things we were expected to do, all under the banner of treating us like adults or treating us like big beings or granting us beingness or whatever the hell, all the ways Scientologists would
Yeah.
justify saying kids aren't really kids. You're just 76 trillion year old things in small bodies.
Yeah. And like knock off the HENR, which is like as a child, you go through so many emotions and that's normal. You have big emotions and we are always told to shut them down. Not
Yeah.
okay. And like that was not good for me because I was a very emotional person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I like to say it's amazing we all turned out so well, or not all, but then you go, but did we really? Or did we
Are
really
we a little
all turn
crazy?
out so well?
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
People do say that to me. How are you so normal or like upbeat or like cheerful? I'm like, first of all, I'm not in a Sea Org because she gives you some perspective. And then I'm like, and I honestly don't know because like I literally am generally pretty happy person. And I don't have like I do not like the Sea Org or Scientology. I don't like what they're doing to my family, to other families, to so many people, the harassment they do. But it's not taking over my life and soul. Like it's like I'm doing something here. I have a book out here that's exposing it, and that's really cool. And I don't have to be depressed and dark about it,
Yeah. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I've heard some anecdotes recently from some, shall we call them under the radars, saying
Mhm.
things about folks like us, like, oh, I don't know why they don't just get over it and move on. And I think to myself, it sounds like you're the one who hasn't gotten over it and moved on since you're so damn triggered about us talking about it. Like, I
Yeah.
do feel like I don't feel like I'm someone who hasn't gotten over it. I
Yeah.
genuinely enjoy helping expose this thing to the world. I don't feel like I'm stuck in it. I don't feel all, I don't know, bitter and hateful. Like
Yeah.
that's not what it is for me. Like, I tend to look more down on people who are like, would rather we weren't talking about it. I go, what's wrong
Yeah.
with you? There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely think your energy is great and you don't come off as like bitter and angry. Like you have a sense of humor and I'm the same way and I actually didn't know with the book coming out that I would enjoy doing these podcasts and I've actually been reaching out to podcasts who know nothing about Scientology, whose theme is like, what's it like to be a mom? And then I like come on and like, what's it like to be a mom when I didn't have anybody raise me? What's that like? And then I'm exposing them to the world of Scientology. So it's been cool going to new places and trying to get it a little bit out. I'm trying to spread it out. And I'm like, I feel like I am doing good because people don't really understand what's a lot of people just know Tom Cruise, Scientology, but they don't understand like the work trafficking that's happening, the abuse and all of that. And Danny Masterson's trial obviously has helped so much with exposing how horrible Scientology is. So that's been great seeing him get arrested. It's like, and put in jail. So
I'm going to
yeah.
dress up. I'm very strongly considering dressing up as Danny Masterson for
Ooh.
Halloween. And if someone goes, who are you? I'm going to just say, oh, I'm a Scientologist in good standing.
I love that. Can you please? It's also pretty like that would be really great. You could wear what he wears on that 70s show, right?
That's right. That's
And
right.
that would
In a
be
prison
like
jumpsuit.
recognizable.
I'll do like the
Oh,
sideburns and the curly
yes.
hair in a prison jumpsuit. And I'll just be like, oh, I'm a Scientologist in good standing.
Yeah, like they still support him. It's wild.
Oh, there was one other thing I was just. Oh, have you spoken to Shalise Ann Sola yet?
I
Because
don't
you
know who that.
definitely should. So
Okay.
she's a former Mormon.
Mm,
She's probably about your age. I don't know. Are we the same age? How old are you?
I'm 38.
38. I'm 43. She's probably closer to your
Okay.
age than my age. She's got a fantastic channel. Her channel is called Cults to Consciousness. She's interviewed a bunch of former Scientologists already, including me. And I'm sure she'd love to have you on. She's fantastic.
Cool.
I'll try to introduce the two of you.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Super cool. Well, look, we did an hour.
Yay, we did it. And I've been trying to read the comments, but I do bad at that. I just focus on the conversation. Hopefully I can read them later, right?
Oh, you can read them later. Actually, let's do the super chats real quick.
Okay.
Helen girl, my father had dementia and knew that he
Oh.
had it. That's
Wow.
really remarkable.
So you can know that you're losing your mind. That would be hard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
by the way, for your father.
Zigma, thank you. Love you, Aaron. Still looking at that plank. Yes. One of these days I'll do something about it.
What's wrong with the plank? Is it missing?
So the plank is covering up an outlet, but the reason it's there isn't because of the outlet. It's because of the big fat ugly cord that's plugged into the outlet. And I just have to reorganize and plug it in somewhere else, and then I'll get rid of the plank.
Okay. I didn't notice it. So.
There's another one behind me, actually. Heavens. Okay. All right. John B. Katherine, I hope you have a positive resolution with this situation. I will say a prayer for your family. Also, I read your book and really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you, John. It's awesome. And yeah, I hope I get fingers crossed.
Abigail says, hey, Aaron and Katherine. Kate, I hope your plan works out. But if it doesn't, the SPTV Nation is ready to give Scientology hell. Aaron, side note, I sent you an email earlier about my Jackbox suggestion yesterday. Did you see it? I did see it, Abigail. I didn't read it, but I saw it, and I'll get back to it. Josh Armenta, AGP reported Odo Huber got sued by Discover Card in 2020 and was hidden from process servers. The documents are on his Patreon.
Wow.
Very interesting. Why would he be sued by Discover?
So he must have had, why?
Usually, even if you default on your balance, you just get sent to collections.
Debt collector. Yeah.
Huh.
I wonder what happened.
We'll have to take a look at that.
Hmm.
You know what? Let me, before I forget, make a note about that, and maybe I'll look for those documents on his Patreon and do a little video about it.
Yeah.
Odo sued by Discover. Josh, actually, if you or Pope could send me those docs, I'll do a video about it and promote Pope's Patreon instead of me trying to find them. That would be awesome. Okay, Lydia von Stretchclaw, will the books be available in the...
Is that Australia?
I'm going to guess it's in the UK.
They're available everywhere, like England, Australia, everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not in Africa. I don't know about Africa. Sorry, but
okay.
5 minutes.
Stacy, 15-minute stories are great. Sometimes you can't watch for a couple hours. I have to binge on the weekends.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Like this. Good ideas.
SPTV Tattoo Warrior, Barb, I fell in love with Katherine when she got to the part where she joined the military and said, I joined another effing pool cult.
Huh.
Did you join the military?
I did not join the military. I wonder if there's another Katherine around here who's impersonating me. I'm just kidding. Or there's another Katherine who joined the military.
Who would that be?
But I wonder, is she thinking about when I joined the Sea Org? I was like, oh, it's a repeat of the Cadet Org. Maybe.
Oh. Huh. I don't know.
That was my reaction to the Sea Org.
I don't know. Ashley Weaver, thank you very much. All right. How about we call it a wrap? This has been a lot of fun. One more quick reminder to everybody. You can find Katherine Spallino on YouTube at The Bad Cadet. Oh, let's see if the number's gone up. Oh,
wow.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody.
Juicy. And you can get her book on Amazon, The Bad Cadet.
And if you read my book and want to leave me a review, it's appreciated because I do read them. And it's helpful. I think the more reviews you get, the more people want to read it. Although I guess I have 72. I should stop asking. Again, I can't help myself.
Never hurts to ask for more. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you, as always, to all of you who watch until the very end.
Thanks so much.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right